That here. Okay, awesome. Um, so I'm here with associate head coach of Creighton University, Alan Huss. Thank you for coming on, taking the time. I wanted to talk a little bit about the off season. Obviously, last year you guys had another phenomenal year. In the Big East. I say the hardest, most difficult, really conference when we talk about college basketball. Um, you guys are moving into this year. Obviously, a lot of high expectations. That's something I feel like Creighton's gotten used to. You guys have become a staple, just not just in the Big East, but on the national scale as well. What has this offseason been like? Bringing in some new guys. Obviously, you guys lost O'Connell, Hawkins. Bringing in Shireman, obviously a big coveted transfer. But what has the offseason been like? What's been the focus for you guys at Creighton?
It's interesting because even though we've got some experience back this season, we're still a very youthful team. So trying to still get these young guys that are freshmen primarily becoming sophomores, trying to get them to understand, what a full off season looks like, and while also trying to get acclimated to some expectations that have been placed upon them that they certainly didn't have a year ago. So there's been a lot of moving pieces when you throw in, adding Baylor and Bello to the mix. It's been interesting. A lot of moving pieces, and we lost a couple of really valuable pieces, not only with their basketball skill, but guys that were really unselfish and comfortable in their own skin, and were guys that were unquestionably our leaders a year ago, and Alex O'Connell and and Ryan Hawkins, who's really pretty special as a leader as far as college basketball players go. So just trying to navigate all those waters and figure out ways that these guys are going to fit together and get a few of these new guys and young guys to accept roles. There's been some challenges, but we're excited about the product going forward, and just excited to get everybody out there together this fall and start the grind.
Definitely. And obviously you mentioned you guys do have a young team. How much did last year, especially, with, whether it be Niemhart and Kyle Brenner, them being young, but being able to not just obviously experience the Big East, but experience the NCAA tournament. Obviously, you guys get a win in the tournament and you go toe to toe with the eventual, national champion in Kansas. How important do you think it was just for your team in general, a younger team, to experience that, and how that can translate into this year, with the expectations that are placed on Creighton?
The awesome thing for all those guys a year ago was just the fact that they got to play through so many mistakes. And really the one guy that didn't get to do that early was Trey Alexander. And when Nimhard got hurt later in the year, that allowed Trey to kind of get into that role too. So all those guys were able to play through mistakes where freshmen in a lot of cases weren't able to or aren't able to. So the experience is gained not only through just a brutal Big East conference schedule, but the NCAA tournament, but also those guys being thrust into new roles, having their roles completely redefined midstream without a lot of opportunity to practice them behind closed doors. It built some valuable experience for the guys, some character for the guys, and it'll be invaluable as we move forward and these guys go through it a second time and have an opportunity to really build on that success in year two.
Yeah. And with I did want to talk about, not knowing specifically with transfers. Obviously, the transfer portal is a huge part of the game now. Is there any challenges, or what are the challenges, if any, to bringing in transfers? Obviously, you're bringing guys who have been in other systems for a while. It's a little different than, let's say, bringing in a high school recruit, getting them acclimated to Creighton. Is it similar with a transfer, or obviously do you go about it a different way, because obviously they do have experience and they've had opportunities playing in college basketball previously?
I mean, we're a little bit different. We have 12 scholarship players, and 10 of our guys are high school players. So we haven't dove into the transfer portal quite like some other programs have, where it's become more of a base of our program. I think our deal, and Coach Mack's deal specifically, is it's all about trying to make sure that the guys fit our culture, not only at Creighton within our basketball program, but within the university as a whole. Because Creighton's it's a pretty special place. I love it, but it's not for everyone. It's a deal where culture kind of supersedes everything else, and if you don't want to be a part of this deal all the way through, it's probably not the right place for you. So whether it's a transfer, whether it's a high school kid, I think the most important thing is just understanding kind of what those guys are made of, and they got to love basketball, but they also got to like going to school. They got to like part of being, they got to like to be a part of something that's a little bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
And Coach Mack's done a great job of installing that. I think as we've applied that to the transfer portal, the two guys we brought in this year, and Francisco Farabello, that's a guy that Coach Miller coached at TCU. So we had kind of an inside look and understood that he's about the right things. Then just with Baylor coming in, he's a local kid. We've had the opportunity to see him for a lot of years. And he was, club teammates with Sharif Mitchell and our other local guy here that they played together. They've known each other for years. So we had kind of an inside look at both those guys and knew what was a big part of their makeup and kind of how they carry themselves, and had a pretty good idea that both those guys would complement what's already here culturally at Creighton within our basketball program.
Yeah. Awesome. And, before I let you go, I do want to talk a little bit, obviously, about the Big East in general. This year, there was a little bit of a turnover, obviously, with Coach Wright, leaving Villanova. You have, I think, about 4 new coaches with Coach Neptune, Coach Holloway, Coach Mata, and Miller at Xavier. Great coaches coming into the Big East. Since you guys as a new program with the startup of the Big East in 2013, what does it tell you about the conference, where the conference is headed to, lose some coaches, but also gain the talent that you guys are getting within the coaching ranks, and seeing the Big East continue to perform with all of this realignment that's going on? I would still say one of the toughest basketball conferences in America is definitely the Big East.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot wrapped up into one, but
I know.
The new coaches are I think that brings excitement to each one of those fan bases, obviously for different reasons. But you're talking about 4 programs there that all have great tradition, expectations, and those guys are going to hit the ground running. They've done a great job in the portal, maintaining the current guys that they wanted to, retaining the current guys they wanted to retain, and managing rosters. So I think you're going to see all those programs really take steps in the right direction. But just the league as a whole, I mean, you look up and down our league, there's not an easy game, and it's a deal that I think we're all excited about. That's why kids come to Creighton or any other Big East member. They come to be a part of the best basketball league in the country. They come to be a part of a league where there's no games off. So we're excited about it going forward. Think it'll be no different with the new faces.
Definitely. Well, listen, thank you very much. I appreciate the time. Looking forward to the season. Looking forward to, the next chapter of Creighton basketball, but I appreciate the time.
Thanks much.